First of all, I would like to congratulate Slytherin and Matrix Games with their 25th anniversary. And to celebrate this, I put a little birthday present in Shadow Empire, which is now being extended with the 25th anniversary Mayhem mode. This Mayhem mode will do plenty of crazy stuff to your games, not too crazy, but it will make it much more difficult. Basically, all your enemies will be tougher and larger. However, there will be more treasure boxes on the map as well, and I put a few Easter eggs in there as well. So it's a bit of a fun mode, but I think, a birthday present should be fun, right? Now, it has almost been 25 years for me as well, not in publishing, but in game design. We're not going to talk about my whole career though. Today, we're going to do a quick catch-up on the history of Shadow Empire. Shadow Empire was originally released in 2019 on Matrix Games only. I always do this, as it allows me to keep the initial player count a little bit lower and address any oversights before releasing on Steam. In 2020 the game was released on Steam and did, to be honest, better than expected. Upon popular demand, I quickly added Air Forces to Shadow Empire in the same year. Without any popular acclaim, procedurally generated alien critters were added to the game as well in 2020. This is still a beloved feature for me and many others. 40-meter tall reptiles with iron scales, or small, peaceful little sheep-like creatures, easily blown away by even militia forces. It all helped tremendously with the immersion. In 2021, I realized that in some games the stratagems just kept piling up, as some of them would never be used by a player, sometimes hundreds of them. So a recycle mechanic was introduced, allowing players to scrap stratagems and gain scrap points to be used to buy procedurally unique stratagems. In the same year, further expanding upon the alien critters, the minor alien regimes were added to Shadow Empire, as well as the ability to customize your formation types and the addition of the Hydra and Morgana class planets. 2022 was used mostly to build the Oceania DLC, which was released in 2023 and brought Gaia and Earth-like planets to the game. It explored some very interesting game mechanics, where the seas are controlled by maritime trade houses that you could interact with in many ways. And yes, not everybody liked this. I did promise at some point to eventually add actual player-controlled Navy units to the game. I have not forgotten this. 2023 also saw the addition of the blueprint designer, environmental hazards, ammo cost revamping, and an expanded tech tree, as well as the addition of battle reports, to finally see the details of battles initiated during the enemy's turn. In 2024, we added a lot of new fate stratagems, the Colossus planet class, many danger events, and housing assets. In 2025, we added the ability to assign a rank to your leaders to keep them happier, but pay them a lot more as well as some balance changes to tanks and artillery, which were respectively a bit overpowered and a bit underpowered. And that is just a small pick from all the additions, as I have worked nearly for 5 years on Shadow Empire since release. The true count of feature additions, fixes and fine-tunings must actually be in the thousands. 2025 has been a bit of a quiet year, update-wise, but that is for a reason. I've been hard at work on the upcoming Republica DLC. The Shadow Empire Republica DLC will extend the politics in the game. Expanding the political systems in the game has been a desire long held. I actually dallied in politics when I was younger, and have also been a voracious consumer of geostrategic, socio-economic and political books. I always said to myself, write a book, Vic. Well, this, of course, never happened. So that's why I'm doing this DLC now, to finally leave a trace. Maybe a bit of a gamified trace, but still a trace of thought, a trace to posterity. Well, to be honest, if it really will impress posterity, that remains to be seen. But I will be more than eager to read the feedback once we start testing the DLC. With Shadow Empire Republica, the game expands the complexity and immersion of the politics in the game enormously, but also changes the game balance with the introduction of Virtus. Now, Virtus represents the spirit and will of your people. It can decay with time, luxury, and easygoings. And it can turn your democracy into a spoiled democracy, your meritocracy into an oligarchy, and your autocracy into a tyranny. Virtus and the decay of systems has been loosely inspired on the ancient anacyclosis theory. That's ancient Greek for cyclical movement. I really liked this Greek model where all systems eventually get corrupted and will change into a farce of their original grandeur. I liked how the systems go through their cyclical movement, with a democracy degenerating into an anarchy, and then voting a strong man into power to restore order, who then becomes a tyrant, who then gets reined in by his own entourage that wants a share of the power too, and eventually seeing that emulated by the masses, and thus returning the system full cycle to democracy. In the game, when finding yourself in a low Virtus phase, it will be challenging for you, as the low Virtus will lead to plenty of problems, including morale problems in the army, as well as finding it hard to actually find volunteers and recruit new soldiers. Rallying the people is possible, but will require cunning, risk, or extreme measures, including revolutions or introducing radical forms of government. There are three radical systems in Shadow Empire Republica. First, handing power over to the Syndic computer. Second, adopting a feudal code and de facto becoming an aristocracy. Third, becoming the God Emperor of a fanatical autocracy. I like these radical forms of government as they'll protect you for a long time from declining Virtus. But only if you keep going to increasingly higher levels of radicality. And there is a bit of a catch. And being radical systems, there is a cost here. And that slowly becomes clear as you go through the levels. In the case of the Syndic computer, at higher levels, it starts becoming paranoid. And it will start meddling with your decisions. And with your leaders as well. In the case of introducing a feudal code, you will basically also create feudal factions, which will consider some of your zones their personal fiefs, taxing them for their own benefit. And these feudal factions will even start raising their own militias. In the case of a fanatical autocracy, let's just say that the zeal to purify, the desire for absolute loyalty from everybody, is not always a good thing, and might actually turn quite bloody and claustrophobic. This expansion does not only increase the depth of the game, it increases the realism, difficulty and replayability as well. The various political bodies, Parliament, Senate, Politburo, will now also vote on laws, one more so than the other of course. Guess which system wants to enact the most laws of them all? Yes, democracy. Especially spoiled democracy. Here the number of laws actually becomes a problem at some point. Now these laws usually give advantages, but they also cost a lot of overhead. So what's wisdom? And worse, the laws enacted might not correspond with your desires. Will you adapt your strategy to the vote of your parliament? Or try to influence the vote, or even veto the vote? At some point, you'll be tempted to install an autocracy. Before Republica, autocracy has often been hailed by the players as the worst system to play, but with the new Republica DLC, you might want to revise that judgment. Anyway, the aim is that all of the systems have their ups and downs, and make it dependent on the situation which one would probably be the best. Apart from the revamp and the increase to 9 political systems, Republica will also bring over 200 new stratagems, and over 50 laws that can be enacted. I'm doing what I can to finish up, but it will take still some more time. This is because I want to make this DLC as good as possible and not rush it. And rest assured, in the meantime, I will try to post regular designer logs as previews for what is to come.